Let's talk about whether this is or isn't an existential crisis for FIFA.
I think it is. You know, it's already been a series of bad news stories for them over the last few months, and this is just taking it to a whole new level.
Now, you say a new level for people like yourself, for people like us, but as we established just a few minutes ago in another good conversation on FIFA, the member countries that put Sepp Blatter in power, who have elected him repeatedly to the position of FIFA president, don't feel the same way about it. Bribery and corruption are, you know, the way business gets done in parts of Africa and parts of Latin America, parts of the Middle East and parts of Asia.
Well, I think, you know, football's a global sport, and I think it's got to come together as one. And, you know, I think whatever rules certain countries or certain people have, they're going to realise that a lot of other countries have other rules. So somewhere along the line, something's got to give.
But, Eric, in defence of those countries or who've participated for all these years and haven't pushed back, was it necessarily their job to? They weren't the government. They weren't the regulators. They were simply players who were part of the game.
They're the constituents. No, I mean, they are the members who represent those countries and who consequently represent the players.
But they were participating in a game. They were participating in a framework that they couldn't necessarily control. Remember, Sepp Blatter has been running this organization for over 20 years.
I would submit that they're participants in an enterprise, possibly even a scheme, and that leads me back to you, Nigel. It's like he who pays the piper calls the tune, right? So if money has been what's driving corruption, as is always the case, if somebody shuts off the money tap and the sponsors like Visa and Coke and Adidas abandon FIFA, is that what ultimately brings about the change?
But Eric, do you want to be the guy to shut off the money tap, to be the one guy to do the good thing? Sorry, Nigel.
No, well, look, there's no doubt the sponsors have huge power now. They supply about 40% of FIFA's revenue. So they've got collectively an awful lot of power. And I think they've got to act collectively to sort this out. If just individual brands start breaking ranks and start saying things, that's one thing. But if they all pull together, they could have a real impact and really damage FIFA very badly. And I think then you'll start to see some changes and see them taking some notice.
If you look, Nigel, among FIFA's top sponsors, and we'll remind everybody who they are. They include Hyundai, for example, and Visa, and Coca-Cola, and Adidas, and here we have Gazprom even, the Russian oil and gas company. Which of those five, let's just take those five as an example, would be likeliest to break ranks first? Most concerned about its image, most concerned about its reputation worldwide, such that abandoning Sepp Blatter is the right thing to do?
Well, I think Coca-Cola's already made comments in the past, and I think brands are so paranoid about their image these days. They're so concerned about doing the right thing and being corporately, socially responsible. This is just the sort of thing that an awful lot of them will not want to be involved in. So you're going to start to see brands really kicking back and making a lot more noise and creating a lot more fuss than they ever would have in the past.
Clearly, those brands are concerned about their image. I'm guessing Sepp Blatter is very concerned about his. Does it surprise you that he was nowhere to be seen at the press conference today, the moment where, if he is innocent, he should have been sitting at the podium saying the buck stops here?
Well, he's the ultimate politician, and he's managed things from his own point of view superbly well. How he gets out of this one, I don't know. It's just such a mess. And, you know, to think that this great sport is in this sort of dire straits at the moment is unthinkable. But something's got to happen. And, yes, you're quite right. The man at the top should be coming forward and telling people what he's going to do to sort it out.
Is it safe to say for the moment, Nigel, that any company unaffiliated with FIFA won't go anywhere near that organization until there's some resolution to these allegations?
You would have thought so, but it's a it's a crazy sport, football, and the World Cup is probably the biggest global marketing event, even more so than the Olympics, because of the amount of branding that's available. It gets to so many countries, it gets to huge audiences. They won't be short of other sponsors looking to get involved. So, certain individual sponsors will be a little bit worried about saying, oh, well, let's just ditch it, let's forget about it, because there's huge rivalries. There's MasterCard, Visa, there's Adidas, Nike, there's Coke, Pepsi, all these brands are paranoid about letting the opposition in to this event that delivers so much. Having said that, you know, it is a damaged sport at the moment.